Welcome, everybody. It's Marjorie Waldo at the Arts Garage, and we're really glad you're joining us today to meet Mr. Joel Zoss, who is a longtime American singer, songwriter, guitarist, award-winning, is my understanding. And if I'm not mistaken, Joel, thank you for joining us.
I'm very happy to be here.
I wanted to make sure you were there. That's good. If I'm not mistaken, you started your career in Chicago. Is that right?
Yeah, a little earlier. My dad, who just left the planet at 98, told me that I composed my first song when I was 5 or 6. We used to go on car trips, and in those days, underneath the rear window, there was a ledge big enough for a small child to lie upon, and I used to lie there and extemporize. Probably my first, except for some amateur stuff at school, I actually played my first gigs, paying gigs, in Providence, Rhode Island, when my family, I lived there with my family for my last 2 years of high school. And then when I was in Chicago, I was a student at the university, and I pretty much majored in blues. The greatest blues artists in the world were playing in the local bars. Buddy Guy and Junior Wells were playing in the local bar, where they would serve me underage. And Howlin' Wolf was playing there, and he always invited us to sit in. It was a different world, and it was really wonderful. So and then I started seriously playing there, I guess.
When you were in school, were you studying music or were you studying something else?
No, I'm that strange beast, an English major. The University of Chicago it worked on a different schedule from most places, and if you showed up and did the exams, you passed. So my joke is that I majored in blues and peyote.
Oh, how funny. Well, I was thinking that if my son knew of a college like that, that's where he'd be applying first. He'd apply. So if he knew of show up and get a good grade, he'd be there in a minute. Well, so most of your music experience then is informal in your training. You couldn't have asked for better educators than the ones you're talking about being in the bars in Chicago, though.
No, I grew up in kind of an apprentice system. Mm-hmm. You know, you befriended people or were befriended, and you learned that way. I had a little formal. I did take a composition course at the university, and I studied jazz guitar for a month or two with a really good player, but I haven't really done any formal.
Well, your English major background explains the songwriter portion of your skill base, though. I mean, that I'm sure has contributed to your ability to write compelling lyrics.
I imagine. Yeah. I imagine. Yeah.
So what would you say inspires your art? And you can probably talk about it from because you write your own songs, the music portion, as well as the lyrics. So what inspires you?
Almost anything can inspire me. And I guess the best thing I could say about inspiration is that it just changes as I go through life. When I had 2 little girls living at home, they were my main inspiration. That's what was in front of me, That's just kind of how it works for me. I'm the kind of person, whether it's a poem or a short story or a novel or a song, I have to put it out there for some reason to understand what I understand.
It's processing. You're processing.
It's just kind of, it really is kind of something that I've always done. And I mean, the inspiration comes from anywhere. It can come from love, can come from anger, anything.
That's really cool. So right now, most of the people that I talk to believe that in general, okay, so let me start over. In general, we believe at Arts Garage and in the music business, I think in general, that the arts are incredibly transformative and powerful in many ways for different age groups, for different reasons. What do you believe the power of music is, especially right now with a lot of what's going on in our culture? What do you think the power of music is?
I think about this a lot, and I think most musicians do, or the ones that think do. one of the interesting things about music is you don't have to think or even be intelligent to be a great musician. It's a different part of you that's doing this. I know musicians who just make my jaw drop, and you wouldn't want to have a conversation with them because they're still working on tying their shoelaces. But I don't really understand it at all. For some reason, music and art are as essential as air and water to us. Nobody lives without it. I've developed various theories about music and DNA. I think that we don't grow, and we need to vibrate our DNA in a certain way, or we don't grow, or we don't grow well. You know, you won't find anywhere in the world where people aren't making music. It just doesn't exist. To go back for a minute, when I was a student, I read a lot in sociology, and I read about this tribe in South America. 80 people live in a big, long communal house. And the anthropologist noticed that when they got up in the morning, before they did anything, as soon as they awakened, they all started singing. And he eventually worked up his nerve and asked them why they did it. And they looked at him like he was an idiot. And they said, well, the birds sing when they get up, don't they? It's what we do. I just want to add something about your question about inspiration, because it's interesting. And one of the things that inspires me, aside from everything in particular, the great master songwriters that have gone before, especially our blues musicians and our folk musicians, have just written incredibly beautiful material. I grew up listening to Leadbelly and Billie Holiday and Maria Callas at the same time, because that was my household. But I just have incredible reverence for the old guys. And I guess now I am one too, but slightly different from these guys. And that's why I love, in addition to performing my own work, I just love to perform the classics.
Mm-hmm.
Really do.
I think it's amazing to see people who are gifted in music be able to grow from what they grow up listening to and what they choose as their adults to in their listening life, and to see how it impacts who they become as an artist. I think it's really exciting. And I think that we have a very strict definition of intelligence. I think that I was an educator for many, many moons. Right. So I think that there are other forms of intelligence, and I don't mean ET, I mean people express themselves so beautifully in so many different ways. And some people who just cannot do it in the formal ways that we are trained in college to do or in high school to do are so gifted when they express themselves through music. And I think it's just a beautiful experience to watch that. Arts Garage, our vision statement is that we connect our community to the world through the arts. And we believe that when we give a window into your music, when we listen to you perform and watch you and even listen to you talk, we get to see part of who you are, and it grows us as people, and it can heal communities. I think it's just a beautiful, beautiful gift. And we're really glad that you're coming. I mean, I'm going to throw this in the middle. I've got a couple more questions for you, but sure. Wednesday night, the 19th, it's here on our stage at Arts Garage. Do you have anybody that performs with you, or are you solo?
Actually, I should have checked before this call. I perform in different ways. I perform solo a lot. I also perform with my wonderful bass player, Jeff Adkins, who plays upright. He plays for a bunch of bands in the neighborhood. One is the Florida Grand Opera. The other is the Palm Beach Symphony. He teaches orchestra at Dreyfus. He's an amazing musician. And I work with him and sometimes with a great drummer, Matt Calgren, and we're as a trio.
I don't remember what I read. I should know this, Joel. I'm sorry. I should know if you're bringing somebody. But regardless, you by yourself or with either your drummer or your bassist will be on our stage at Arts Garage on the 19th, which is a Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. performing live, professionally produced. It will be a true live stream, meaning that it's not going to be recorded. So if you purchase a ticket, you go on our website to do so, and you watch it at the time of the show. So get your dinner ready, get your beverage in front of you, and get ready for a great show. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about your fans and how you feel about them. What impact do they have in your life, or how does it affect your performances?
So I think the easiest way for me to answer this is when I'm performing in front of a bunch of people, and the bigger the bunch, the better as far as I'm concerned. There's an energy exchange that's going on. I don't want to define it too much. I opened a whole bunch of shows for, excuse me, for B.B. King, just me solo with my wooden guitar.
Wow.
And he's got this 9-piece, just kick-ass band. So for a couple of years, around 2007 through 9, I opened lots and lots of shows for him. And these venues usually 1,500 to 2,500 seats.
Mm-hmm.
And on really good nights, you, as a performer, just out there on my own, first of all, you're always creating a community when you're performing. It really is a communal experience at best, and it's really communion at best. You know, you get everybody's attention is focused, and I would sometimes get the feeling that we were all one, the audience and the guy with the white hair on the stage. We're all one, and that for some reason, for that hour, I was the one that had a mouth and was speaking. But nothing special, you know.
It's really a fantastic experience. We are so saddened by everything everybody's going through with the pandemic. Yes. And we're especially brokenhearted. Not especially, we're brokenhearted at everything everybody's struggling with. But we're very brokenhearted that we can't do live music here for an audience, because there's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like live music. Watching an audience interact the way you're talking about with a performer, it just blows you away. It's just a really incredible experience. But we're hoping that what we can create with these live streams that we're going to do is something as close to that as we can get. So we're even going to have one of our marketing team will be monitoring the comment section. So we'll have what do you call the screen that you have in front of you during a stage where you can see? We're going to have a screen,
a monitor, you mean?
A monitor for you to see any comments that might come from the audience. So if you want to address them during your show, you can. So you get some feedback of your performance as you perform, which
that would be great. I mean, as far as my relations to fans, I am them and they are me, except for that moment, I'm the one with the mouth, and I'm always happy when they shout at me and say, play this, or don't play that again, or what, you know, whatever.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, so last question. What do you hope that Arts Garage, you haven't been to Arts Garage before, I hope this won't be your last time. So what do you hope that the Arts Garage family, and I really believe that our community is a family, we have an amazing staff, we have an amazing board of directors, our fans and donors and patrons, it's a huge group of people who come together for something really beautiful. What do you hope they take away from your show?
Just expanding my community, and you know, more places that I'm a member of the community. You know, I mean, technically, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a citizen of the world. And you know, I got my membership button. It's right on my belly. I won't forget it. Everybody has one, you know. And this is every time I play anywhere. It's a new time. If it's the first time, it's more community. It's great. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to be really interested to see what it's like performing in a theater for an empty house. Never done that before. That'll be interesting. I guess it'll be a little bit like rehearsing, but not really. It's a performance, you know. So
Yeah, I hope we make you feel at home. Once you come here and perform, you are automatically part of our community and a part of our Arts Garage family, and we can't wait to have you on the stage. So I really am grateful that you sat with me today. Thank you very much. And I cannot wait to see you, not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, right? Is it next Wednesday already?
Next one, no,
Holy moly.
2 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yep. See you
2 weeks,
on the
2 weeks from today, the 19th, right?
19th at 7 p.m.
Yes.
So Joel Zoss, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, and I enjoyed our conversation.
Me too. It was nice to get to know you a little.